I'm Imam Tariq El-Amin, of resident Imam of Masjid Al-Taqwa, and on behalf of our wonderful Talim committee, chaired by Dr. Aisha Al-Amin, members are Dr. Lionel Allen Jr., Dr. Gloria Bashir, and today's host, Sister Rashida Fitzpatrick. We're going to turn it over to her, and also before we do that, just remind you that all of our past Talims and Jumas and other presentations can be found on our YouTube channel. So there's YouTube // Masjid Al-Taqwa. So be sure to like, share, and to most importantly, to subscribe. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our sister, Rashida Fitzpatrick, to introduce today's topic and presenters.
Assalamu alaikum, Muslim community. Thank you so much for your patience. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with and sharing some time with Amir Ayash and Olivia Cooper. They are a power couple, I believe, that work at the building that I work at, Richards High School in Oak Lawn. Going to have Amir tell us a little bit about himself and his presentation, and it's going to be followed up by his wife, Olivia. Amir, do you have the screen?
No. Assalamu alaikum.
Right.
Thank you, Sister Rashida. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very grateful to be here. We're going to try something a little different today. I'm going to talk to you guys about reflections in nature, inshallah. So radically different than what you're probably used to. But let me begin by telling you a little bit about myself. I've been a high school teacher for 22 years now. I've worked in the same building with Rashida for, I don't know, at least 20 years of those 22 years. I teach high school math. I've taught everything from remedial math to advanced placement calculus. And I currently teach mainly juniors and seniors. I'm Palestinian American. My grandparents were actually born in Palestine, and their parents were born in Palestine, and their parents and grandparents were born in Palestine. My parents were born in Jordan, where they became refugees in the early 50s. And they immigrated to the United States in 1970. So my parents have been here since 1970. I'm born and raised in Chicago. I've been here my entire life. In 2018, I took a 2-year sabbatical to work on a book project of a subject that's very, very near and dear to my heart, and that is birds. I study one specific group of birds. Some of you may know them as seagulls or just gulls, G-U-L-L-S. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about gulls today, and hopefully talk to you a little bit about my project and the book that has become sort of the focus of my life for the last 5 or 6 years. So the book that I'm talking about is called The Gull Guide, and it's published by Princeton University Press, and it'll be released this October, inshallah. And it's 500 pages on all of the gull species and subspecies found in North America. So everything you ever wanted to know about seagulls or gulls is in this book here. I begin with this little ayah on this slide here. I'm sure you guys have heard this ayah from Surah Al-Mulk. Have they never considered the birds above them flying in lines with wings they spread out and fold in? Nothing holds them up except the All-Merciful. He indeed sees everything very well. I memorized this ayah from Surah Al-Mulk probably 25 years ago, and well before I was into birds, and I never knew how impactful this ayah would be to me years later after having studied birds for so long. So what is it about gulls that fascinates me? Gulls are sort of the last frontier in bird identification. They remain some of the most elusive birds taxonomically. They're not straightened out yet as far as their relations to other birds and how fast they have inhabited different parts of the Northern Hemisphere. So what I want you all to do, inshallah, enjoy this talk for the next 10, 15 minutes and just ponder a little bit about the majestic creation that's around us that we see every day. I, in particular, am disturbed by the number of brothers and sisters who don't take enough time to reflect on and talk about nature and the planet that we live on. Being, the caretakers, and it was entrusted to us that we'd be the caretakers of this earth. I don't think enough of us reflect on the fact that we're just a speck of dust in the big scheme of things in the universe. When you think about, we're just in one galaxy of about maybe 2 trillion galaxies. It just boggles the brain to think about. At some point, we are microscopic to some outside form that look down at us. We are microscopic beings. So, subhanAllah. One of the things that we're seeing unfold this year, if you live in Northern Illinois, is the cicadas. Has nothing to do with birds, but I thought I would throw this in here because to me, it's still a mystery how these things know to come out of the earth every 17 years, not every 16 years, not every 18 years. And I don't think anybody knows how the cicadas know to come out every 18 years, 17 years. So I'm going to show this short clip. Hopefully this video shows, inshallah. And just bear with the commercial.
We take a unique approach to teaching and filmmaking.
You won't be able to see all 7 species come up as adults at the same time again until 2037. And even though 13-year cicadas and 17-year cicadas...
Are you guys able to see that video?
No, we just see the screen.
Oh, you just okay, let me
And it includes 4 13-year species.
2 seconds, sorry about
And
that.
in Northern Illinois, brood 8 will be coming up, including 3 17-year species. 13-year brood, you won't be able to see all 7 species come up as adults at the same time again until 2037.
Let's do this one. Are you able to see it now?
No, we're just still looking at the 3 cicadas.
Oh, okay. And now?
Still the 3 cicadas.
Oh boy. How about now?
Yes.
All right. All right. So this is fascinating. Inshallah, you find some benefit in this.
And in Northern Illinois, brood 8 will be coming up, including 3 17-year species. You won't be able to see all 7 species come up as adults at the same time again until 2037. And even though 13-year cicadas and 17-year cicadas develop on different timescales, their life cycles are surprisingly similar. Cicada nymphs go through 5 instars, or developmental stages. But because those 5 stages all happen underground, they're pretty hard to monitor. An entomologist in Connecticut, Chris Meyer, conducted an incredible experiment to see what was going on beneath the soil. Starting in 1979, he dug up 100 cicada nymphs every single year for 17 years. He noted the amount of time it took for the nymphs to move from one instar to the next, observing that the older they got, the longer it took for the majority of them to transition into the next developmental phase. He also noticed that they weren't all growing at the same rate. An interesting observation that tells us their timekeeping is probably not tied to how big they get. Near the end of this 17-year experiment in 1995, he noticed that the nymph's eyes changed from white to red, signaling that they would be emerging the next spring. When the nymphs reach their 5th instar and get to the 13th or 17th year of their cycle, they wait for the soil to reach the right temperature. At their depth of 20 centimeters, the soil needs to warm up to 17.9 degrees Celsius or 64 degrees Fahrenheit, which happens around April or May. Then, one evening, they tunnel their way through the dirt, sometimes even creating mud turrets, which are basically little towers that rise above the ground on their way out. They climb onto whatever vertical surface is closest to them and begin the final stage of development, molting. And this part is a little bit gross, but also super cool. Their skin splits along the thorax, what we would think of as their back. Their head and then body and then legs wiggle free, while the lining of their breathing tubes or trachea are turned inside out. Once they've fully emerged, their tiny wing flaps must be inflated like little balloons. Fluid pumps through the veins of their wings, making them expand. Once they've fully emerged from their shell, their exoskeleton hardens and darkens. And then they're ready to start the courtship process. But despite how much we've learned about them, periodical cicadas still hold one of the biggest mysteries in ecology.
Once they've reached their year of emergence, we know what triggers them to come out, the ground temperature, but we don't know exactly how they keep track of those years, and we don't know exactly how they know when to come out.
So I guess that's the takeaway is, despite all the studies and all the information available on cicadas, still no one knows how the cicadas know when to emerge. So I think this is a form of khushur. Khushur is humility. When you contemplate creation and you acknowledge there is some sophisticated design there that's been there for millennia before us and will very likely be there for years after us. It is, I think, something that the believer can benefit from to stop, pause, and acknowledge that creation. If you're interested in this sort of thing, there's macro lenses that you can buy on cameras, and you can just fix them to your camera. And the macro photography is very popular in the nature world for people who are into like insects and plants. You can get up close, very close to some of these things that are smaller than, say, the tip of your fingernail. And you can see some of these exotic looking creatures up close if you use like a macro lens. I don't use a macro lens. I use a zoom lens. My zoom lens is like a 500 millimeter zoom lens. This is not my photograph, by the way, but I do want to just caution you guys about AI and the storm that's taken the internet recently with artificial intelligence photography. You look at this photo here, and what do you see? That's our national bird, the bald eagle. But there's something wrong with this photo. Do you guys realize what's wrong with this photo? The two chicks in the nest, they actually look nothing like that in real life. So this is an artificially intelligent design photograph. The chicks of bald eagles don't actually take on those white heads until they're about 3 or 4 years old. But so it's shown here in the image. I don't know, just because it looks cute, I guess, to have a smaller form of the adult. But only the adults have white heads, and they get those heads at about 4 years old. So you're seeing real bald eagle chicks there on the right. They're in the nest state. Bald eagles are scavengers. They're not actually very majestic birds. They will pick, roadkill. They'll go to landfills, kind of like gulls. But primarily they feed their young fish. So they're very good at fishing and hunting fish and feeding the young fish. Back to the topic of gulls, my favorite group of birds. These are gulls that you can find on the Atlantic coast. They're called laughing gulls, and they are predators in some way. I'm going to show just one more video, if you'd allow me to, inshallah. This video, I believe this is what I want. Hopefully, this won't be too long again here. Can you guys see this video?
Yes.
Okay. So let me just give you some background here. The blackbird there is an Atlantic puffin. They actually burrow holes in the ground, and that's where they have their nests underground. And the gulls are predators. They're preying on the adult puffin, and they're taking the fish that it caught to bring to the nest.
But the problem is that this barrel is not his. The brothers seem to know that. He can't stay down there for long.
A little sped up.
He's determined that these sandals are for his chick and nobody else.
So, in years of, so what that puffin was bringing to the nest is called a sand eel. It looks kind of like a long, rubbery fish. In years where there's low food supply, the gulls are more predatory than other years when there's high food supply. So what affects the supply chain? When the water temperature isn't right on the coasts, the sand eels and the capelins, they do these vertical migrations in the water. And if the water's too warm on top, they'll stay down below, and then the seabirds can't catch these fish, so they become a lot more aggressive and prey on, say, the Atlantic puffins and their chicks and their food. So there's this movement in Northern Africa. It's based out of Northern Africa called Green Dean, if anybody is interested in this. And the whole objective is, how can we get Muslims to think more about the planet, to protect the planet, and take more interest in preserving our local environments where we live. So if we're in Chicago, how do we protect the natural habitats that are found in Chicago, and so on and so forth. So if you're interested in this, it's headed up by a brother named Ibrahim Abdul Mateen in Algeria. If you just Google Green Dean, you could get some ideas online, inshallah. So I don't have too much time left because I know we're already at 1:30, and I know Olivia has some things to say. Well, one question I often get about gulls is, are they abandoning the sea? So especially for our older brothers and sisters, you might remember a time when gulls were a lot more rare inland, and now they seem like they're more common inland. But again, remember, they're not all seagulls, so some of them never actually make it to the sea or feed over the ocean waters. So we have facultative and obligate seabirds. And most gulls actually are facultative seagulls. There's only one group of seagulls called kittiwakes that are obligate, that have to live on the ocean, and they're called kittiwakes. We have a black-legged kittiwake on the left and a red-legged kittiwake on the right. The black-legged kittiwake's the most abundant gull in the world. There's about 14 million of them. They have this circumpolar distribution all around the Arctic. But if you see their range map there, they don't come inland. So this isn't a gull you would find at like a Walmart parking lot. They're strictly coastal, and the blue there is only in the winter when they come down from the breeding grounds. The red and purple is where they breed, and they spend most of their lives up there in the Arctic, nesting on sea cliffs. One of the fascinating things about their eggs are pear-shaped. And so they're on these very steep cliffs. And you would think this is a very dangerous place to nest, because you bump the egg and the egg can roll right off the cliff. But the egg, again, is pear-shaped. So when it is bumped, it actually just spins in a circle, and it doesn't roll off the cliff. It's not spherical or oval. It's pear-shaped. The design is so that it would just spin in a circle, kind of like a top, and not ever fall off the cliff. These kittiwakes are coming farther and farther south now, as they figure out there's actually protection and food for them around Homo sapiens. They're coming farther and farther south. So now they're nesting on like bridge girders, on piers, even in places like France and the UK, they're nesting on windowsills. For a first time, we've never seen kittiwakes come this far south like we have in, say, the past 15, 20 years. So this is a very new thing. And it's kind of alarming to scientists to see that seabirds that should be in the Arctic are coming to urban dwellings and nesting so close to humans now. Again, these are black-legged kittiwakes. And the cover of my book actually features one of these juveniles. The juveniles have the black hair on the side of the wing. The adults don't have any black on the side of the wing here. So we try to deter them from nesting on buildings and windowsills. And there's banding studies where they band them and put GPS trackers on them to see where they go in the non-breeding season, where they feed. So a lot of fascinating things to be learned with birds, and just, what indicators can we pick up on from their behavior, and when they shift their range and when they're found in certain places and start to move from one place to the next. Here in Chicago, we have a lot of gulls. This is called the ring-billed gull, nesting on rooftops in the city. And these things love to stalk like families that are picnicking, people that throw like fries in a Wendy's parking lot for them. But what the city does, this is right off of Navy Pier, by the Water Reclamation Department. What they do around this time of year, they wait for the gulls to set up their nests. And right now, say early June, they've all set up their nests. And they literally will just send a team up there to bag up the nests with the eggs and just clean up the rooftops. And they'll throw all of these nests away. They're not protected. The city allows the private business owners, the private real estate developers to just take out the nests and throw them away. They dispose of them literally. So if you see gulls flying back and forth to a rooftop somewhere where you live, it's probably because they have a nest set up there. And they don't really damage roofs. They don't really cause much trouble other than a little bit of ruckus, and maybe drop some droppings on your car. But other than that, they are actually pest control, because they eat mice and they eat rats and they'll eat insects at night. You'll see them hawking above the rooftops, just catching mosquitoes. So there's a lot of benefit to having them around, and more benefit than harm, I think. So the next time you see some gulls on the lakefront or anywhere in your area, I hope they fall in good favor with you, inshallah. All right, so I think I'm going to leave it at this. I'm sure there's a question. I see something in the link here.
Yeah, it says, is there a link that you could share to purchase your book?
Yeah, I'll drop that in the chat, inshallah, as soon as my wife begins here. It's on pre-order right now, folks. So it won't be released until October this year. So there'll just be a little bit of patience, inshallah. And hopefully you'll find some good nuggets, and there are some beneficial things about gulls. It gets kind of advanced towards the 100th page or so, but the introduction is very user-friendly. It starts you from zero, teaching you about gulls and their relationship to other birds. So I see in the chat here, someone's family was gull stalked this past Thursday while walking on the boardwalk in New Jersey. They also perch on our windowsill. Yeah, I have family who live in New Jersey, and that's one of the features of their walk every time they go on these long walks. That's something that folks in Jersey seem to do like regularly. They go on the boardwalk. There's Cape May County and a couple other counties in New Jersey that hire dog walkers and falcon people who work with falcons. Let me find this for you. They will actually run them off the beaches. They will actually run them off the beaches. The county pays on weekend holidays something like $500 an hour for these falconers to bring their falcons and chase the gulls off the beach. It just boggles my mind that they do this, but they chase them off from the beaches. They chase them off pretty much anywhere they congregate. Near airports, I can understand why they would chase them off at airports, because, well, then you have, crashes with airplanes, and that we don't want that. But if you can see this. Are you guys able to see this one with all the gulls on the beach?
No.
Oh, let me make sure I'm sharing this. Sorry. Well, it looks like I'm not going to be able to get that up. I'm so sorry, guys.
Okay.
I don't do this enough to know how to quickly switch from one slide to the next or one video to the next.
Perfect.
But I should know how. At any rate, so in New Jersey, for my person who commented there, they actually train and hire professional falconers to chase the gulls off the beach there, especially on like Memorial Day weekend and 4th of July weekend. And those guys get paid a lot of money to chase those gulls off. But the gulls always find a way to come back. They know there's food and they know there's an easy living to be made. So they are constantly coming back to our beaches, our parking lots. In a way, they've made us part of their ecology, right? Even on like the agriculture fields, following ships and boats. They just know anywhere there's humans, there's going to be free food. All right, so I'll put the link in there for anybody who wants that, inshallah. Are there any other questions or comments for me? Maybe somebody has something.
I just find this quite fascinating that you just from a young age have allowed yourself to kind of go down a rabbit hole, so to speak, of just one species in Allah's creation, and just take the time to really learn more about it. We got a hand raised. Akima, go ahead.
Assalamu
Like,
alaikum. Yeah, it was my family goal stopped. Thank you for this very interesting presentation. We actually spent some time recording the goals on our windowsill and just watching the behavior. So I can see how you can get wrapped up in this and so absorbed to the point where you even writing books about it. Very interesting presentation today. So thank you for that. You mentioned, I did not know that there were two different types. Can you repeat that again about the gulls that we most likely see away, that are inland, away from the coast? Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so we see mainly facultative gulls. Facultative gulls don't have to ever go near salt water. They can stay near fresh water. As long as they have a little bit of water, they're fine. So in the chat here, I'm going to type the species. If you're in the Chicago area, the species you're most likely to see is this one here. So 90% of the time, if you see a gull in the Chicagoland area, it's a ring-billed gull. I just typed that in the chat. And it's because it has a black ring on its beak. What you're probably seeing at this time of year is they're just trying to find food to take to the nest, because everything is nesting right now. Everything's trying to feed their young or incubating the eggs, just days away from having the young hatch. So you'll see them oftentimes with like full necks and full mouths, and they're just flying back and forth, regurgitating food for the young. Ring-billed gulls can go out to sea. They're usually not found more than about, say, 10, 12 miles offshore. Usually they're more inland birds. Sorry for the noise.
Okay.
These are my niece's conures. I'm babysitting birds actually as we speak right now.
okay. Yeah. Who else had their
Okay,
hand?
thank you for that. And just the second part of the question. So you also so one thing we don't see as much, I remember growing up, we would just see pigeons all the time. And I know they're doing things to kind of curtail, the pigeons. They don't want them all over the place. But, I've heard people say gulls are the new pigeons, how do the two interact with each other? Do the gulls chase the pigeons off, or, how does that, do you know anything about the pigeon gull relationship?
So gulls have a more general diet. They'll eat, things that are alive, things that are dead. They'll eat a lot of fish and meat, but the pigeons are mainly seeds. The pigeons are not big on meat, so they're not very big competition for the gulls. but they do share some things in common as far as diet. But overall, they're not in competition most times.
Okay, we have one other hand up before we introduce his wife, Olivia.
Yeah.
Go ahead, A Shahid.
Assalamu alaikum. I missed the part of your very first portion. I don't know if you may have mentioned this already, but we've got a couple of young birders in our family. So do you have any advice for someone young who's maybe going down that same path of interest? Any suggestions?
Yes, I'm putting it in a chat right now. There's an Illinois Young Birders Club. If you look up Illinois Young Birders on Google, they do go out on like organized field trips. They do have like presentations where somebody will present on a topic. They share advice on like where to find certain birds at certain time of year and where to go. So it's a great thing for anybody, say under like 17, 16. It's more for like 12, 13-year-old. But you know, you could just kind of look them up and go from there. For anyone who's interested, and I see a majority of our participants here, they're in the last 2-3 years, there's been awareness that's been brought to our African American communities, and so there's a event called Black Birders Week. I don't know if anyone here has heard of this. It's a real thing. The National Audubon Society in the last 3 years has begun this event, and it's to bring awareness to mainly our Black communities that seem to be for years removed from nature, or at least didn't know how to get into nature. And I kind of include myself in that group because my parents weren't bird watchers. My parents never took me on nature hikes, and we never really explored the outdoors. And so I kind of picked it up on my own. But we do know like our minority communities in particular seem isolated from this sort of thing. And it's unfortunate because nature belongs to everybody. So Black Birders Week just ended. I think it was July or June 4th. It just ended. It's from like the last few days of May to the first few days of June. And it's a big movement, mainly out of Philadelphia and Atlanta. And the whole idea is to get minorities out and watching birds and watching nature in general, and not having to feel embarrassed for doing this as if we're infiltrating on someone else's territory. We are just exploring the planet, and everyone has access to it, and it's free, and it really does bring tranquility and peace to your mind and soul, I think.
Well, thank you. We have one more comment, and then I hope we have enough time.
Sure. Oh, no problem.
You had your hand up.
Oh, assalamu alaikum. Yeah, Bashir Assad. I came on to your presentation late. I was on another presentation, excuse me, but the small portion I heard, I'm interested. I love the color of seagulls. I mean, the contrast of the gray, the white, the black, the yellow. But you may have addressed this. I don't know. In the Quran, you know, there's different areas in the Quran where Allah talks about the bird, the hoopy bird, and I think it was Suleiman. I think he learned the language of the bird. Had any of this had any influence on you in the direction that you took in the study of birds?
You know, just growing up, like I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, like Surat al-Mulk, the verse where Allah mentions he's the one who holds the birds afloat in the air. No one else, nothing else does. There's no other mechanism. These sort of things I used to read without even giving a second thought, without thinking one day I want to go learn more about birds. So, now, I don't think anything in particular influenced me to go look at birds other than just like a personal interest, a personal curiosity.
Okay,
With that said, though, there are a lot of references to birds. You could think about 5 or 6 of them off the top of my head, like in Surat al-Fil, the elephant, the birds that were sent to throw, stones of fire on Ilafi Quraysh. لإيلاف قريش إيلافهم not that, no, I'm talking about ألم ترى كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل. Did you not see how your Lord um, let me find this here. If anybody can help me here, it's the ayah where we're told that the people of the elephant were struck with stones of fire from birds from above. That to me is a fascinating ayah. Also, the reference where Adam's sons were taught how to bury their dead from watching ravens. So these sort of things are I think lessons for us, things for us to reflect on.
Yes, thank you.
Right, you left your wife 10 minutes.
Oh boy. All right, you take it from here, Olivia, inshallah.
That's okay. I don't have a whole, presentation set up, so it's fine. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Olivia Cooper. In the masjid, they know me as Sister Habiba as well. I was flattered, Rashida, that you thought I was interesting enough to have something to say or something to share. So I thank you for inviting me to speak today. I have been working with you for far fewer years at Richards High School. I just joined Richards High School about 4 years ago. So, it hasn't been a 20-year relationship, but I enjoy seeing you, Rashida, and I thank you again for having me come on today. A little bit about myself. I'm African American. I'm a convert. I converted in 1996. To make a long story short, my mother had cancer and was undergoing treatments. So I went to go live with my mother's sister in Virginia. And my mother's sister had become Muslim in the 70s. And so, my whole family out there was Muslim. And, I had a lot of questions about Islam. And so, they were able to answer them. And I converted when I was 15. So that's kind of, how I became Muslim. I met Amar because I was very interested in studying Arabic. So there was a free institute out in Virginia that taught brothers and sisters Arabic. The sisters usually went on the weekends, and the brothers had a whole Islamic law. I believe, what was it, Amar, an Islamic law program, a Sharia program.
Yeah, 2-year program.
2-year program, all of this, of course, was before September 11th, and there was, a lot of funding for these things. So I ended up through mutual friends meeting Amar, and the rest is history. We ended up moving back to Chicago. We both became teachers. I continued wanting to study Arabic, so I kind of, muddled with it on the side a little bit. And then, it helped that my husband spoke Arabic, and so did my in-laws, who we lived with for several years. So that helped as well. I continued my Arabic studies kind of on my own for a long time, just by, interacting with, Amar's family, and just trying to read and understand, watching YouTube, that kind of thing. I ended up continuing my studies finally a few years ago. I believe it was 2019 that I completed my master's degree in Arabic from DePaul University. And then after that, I began working at Richards. So at Richards High School, I teach English as a second language. There is a big Arabic speaking population there, mostly from Yemen, some from Palestine, Jordan, and Syria. So I teach English as a second language, and I also teach Arabic as a foreign language there as well. So that's been a great experience to be able to teach Arabic as a foreign language and try to get more people interested in the Arabic language. I think it's a really good way to kind of introduce them in a non-threatening way to, you know, the language as well as the culture and as well as, you know, Islam as part of that culture. So it's really been great to see how many non-Muslims have been interested in taking Arabic at Richards High School, and how many of them want to join in with the Muslims. And so that prompted me to start a chapter of MSA at Richards High School. And that's been really great. We've had such great feedback on our Muslim Students Association there. We've had, for the past 3 years, we've had iftars in Ramadan. We had, this year, we also had a Ramadan decorating workshop for students and their families to come out. I fundraise throughout the year, so I try to make everything free. I love free 99, so that's kind of my, you know, motto there. So I do have, if I'm able to share, just kind of, I don't have the sharing enabled. Can I share?
Here, can you, because he was the host.
Oh, hey, Amar, are you able to?
I'm able to share. If you want to send it by email, I could just put it up.
Sure, 1 second. It's the link from Bulldog's Dispatch. So basically, the clip that I wanted to show is actually, you know, we were actually featured this year for the iftar and the decorating community events that we have. And so my real goal, my whole reason for talking is just the importance of getting these chapters of Muslim Students Associations started within our public schools, just to, you know, when students have questions about Islam, that we are, you know, there are Christian Students Associations and all other kinds of associations. So I think it's really something that we need to focus on, especially in our public high schools, just trying to get students to feel like there is, you know, a club. A lot of our students, you know, the Muslim students don't join a lot of clubs either because there are different dress codes or things that they don't agree with. And it's really a place where they can come and, you know, participate and do team building activities and have, you know, lectures and prayer. And so it's really a great opportunity for Muslims and non-Muslims alike. And I think it's a really good way for us to, you know, give da'wah for, you know, non-Muslims within the public schools. Oh, looks like if you want to start around, I think it's around 2:21, something like that, when they talk about, yeah, around there. No, go, yeah.
Right here?
Yeah, around there should be right. Thanks.
My name is Olivia Cooper, and I am a teacher of Arabic as a foreign language, and I also teach English language learners. I'm the MSA sponsor as well. Ramadan is a month in which we fast from dawn until sunset, and the purpose of that is in teaching us to have self-control. It's actually one of the, you know, most joyous times of the year for us, and one of the happiest times, because it brings families together, and it's time for us to grow personally and spiritually at the same time.
My name is Hanim Saleh. I'm one of the main organizers of MSA and our Ramadan decorating workshop. Our Ramadan decorating workshop is centered around Ramadan. So we included food from local Arabic restaurants and stations like lantern making, cookie decorating, basketball, and more to increase enthusiasm for this year's Ramadan, which started on Monday, March 11th.
So it's a great opportunity to bring together the Richards community. So bringing together staff, students, little brothers and sisters, the moms, dads, everyone, cousins. It's just a great community event to bring everyone together.
We wanted to have this event to spread awareness about Ramadan and to showcase the big Muslim population we have in our community. We felt that an event centered around Ramadan was important and needed for the Richards community because it highlighted a different community that isn't talked about and included enough. So MSA is hosting a community-wide Ramadan Iftar on Monday, March 18th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. We'll have food, a short talk, and some games to play after breaking our fast.
Events like these that really make Muslim students at Richards feel like they're part of the Richards community and feel like that the school is their home. So when we have events like the decorating workshop, like the community of five that's coming over, it really shows staff and students, and it brings everyone together. It shows how much we all care about each other. And it also brings excitement to the Muslim students when they feel like they can share a part of their culture with the rest of the school. Hungry for more?
Thank you for sharing that. So one of the main things that people, ask is, how do I get involved? How do I start these chapters? MSA is, available in high schools and in colleges. You just, basically start a chapter, and you can set it up however you want. The only thing is you can't, use public funding from schools. But to be honest, through fundraising and through donations, alhamdulillah, we've had, a great turnout, and we're able to do a lot of different projects in the community. We were able to give, money to people who are sick, gift cards. We were able to bring, food. We go downtown on a trip and do Feed the Homeless, where we pass out, food to homeless people. So really great, activities that I've been very, blessed to be able to kind of set up at the high school level. I remember when I was in high school and I was a new Muslim, there was pretty much nothing for Muslims. No one knew that we were fasting. I remember a teacher when my cousins and I were celebrating Eid, they said, oh, you should still come to school. You can just do a presentation about Eid at school so that you don't take off of school. So, it's very interesting, alhamdulillah, that we've had, a lot more awareness. And I think through, these types of organizations, we can really give a voice to our Muslim students in public schools.
I think fascinating. Oh, go ahead.
Rashida, you this will strike a chord with you. We worked at Richards for 20 years before we got Eid off.
Yes.
So this was our first year ever having the school actually recognize Eid and give the whole school the day off for Eid. So alhamdulillah for that.
Yes, it's made the impact of the Muslim community has been very, very much something that I'm proud to be a part of. And I'm proud to, like you said, growing up in high school, Islam was not recognized, the religion, fasting wasn't recognized. And so it just feels like it's come the evolution of Islam and being reflected in the community of children is growing. And as long as that's happening, I believe Allah is going to bless all of our endeavors.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. We have one more comment and then we're going to close out. Brother Bill?
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, this is Brother Bill Chambers. I just have to say, alhamdulillah, that you've been able to create an MSA at the high school level. I just think that's so incredible, because obviously we always hear about that at the college level. My question, I guess, is that I'm curious about whether you've gotten a lot of cooperation, like from the principals and the administration, or even CPS in general, for setting up MSAs?
Not so much cooperation from, admin, in terms of being allowed to do it. They can't stop us from doing it as long as it's not during school hours. But I'm kind of pushy. So, I kind of try to see who I can, get in terms of whether they put it under diversity, whether they put it under, community outreach. I'll go to whoever I need to go to kind of try to get it, get done what it needs done. And then alhamdulillah, the students are more than willing to, help me pick up the slack. We literally sell candy bars outside of my room every day for $1, just to try to have money like every single day of the year, just to try to get money so that we can fund our different programs. And the kids enjoy doing it. So, I like that they feel like it's, they're proud to be working for this club and that they can share different things with their teachers. We've had a lot of more teachers asking questions and participating in the events and actually attending the events. So this year, I think both of our events had over 350 people attend. So, you know, we were surprised there were people coming out of the woodworks, you know, we ran out of food and everything, but I was just, you know, great to see everybody showing up and, you know, not just, you know, Muslims, non-Muslims as well.
I wish
Mashallah. Thank you very much for your wonderful work.
All right, we're gonna close out with Surah Asa. Thank you so much, Olivia and Amir. We truly appreciate you coming out and sharing all of your gifts with the community and your talents and letting them know, because I've been telling the community about how great my school is, because it has such a non threatening view of Islam, and I truly appreciate it, and I truly feel welcomed, and I'm so grateful that you were able to join, Olivia, and make this, you know, something that was near and dear to me, as far as practice of Islam, walking those buildings, walking those hallways, and you have done a phenomenal job in bringing light and bringing beauty in Islam and the spirit of Islam. And I truly thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much, Rashida. That's
I'm
really,
so-
that's
I'm
really
so
nice.
proud of both
I know
of
we
you
could
all.
do a lot. Inshallah.
You're doing a wonderful job. You and your husband are doing a wonderful job, and I'm very proud to call you my co-workers.
I'm so glad that we work with you, Rashida. It's been great getting to know you, and I really appreciate everything you've done to help us. Thank you.